I also saw the most recent Arc Raiders update, and I thought it was dog shit. I'll speak kind of candidly here. And Arc Raiders, in my opinion, they are kind of gearing the game towards PvE, which is totally fine. That's totally fine. They're more than welcome to do that. I personally don't like that. Like, they don't want PvP. And then Marathon is kind of the other end of it, where it's mainly PvP, which I think for me personally, I'm just going to enjoy that more. Now, if you like PvE and you want to go fight Arc, that's totally cool. They got that. You know what I mean? Me personally, I would rather PvP.
So, the Arc Raiders PvP versus PvE war has just escalated, as you've seen per the clip coming in on this video here, guys. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, guys, I have to ask you a question right away. Have you checked out Marathon? Have you checked out Marathon? What do you think of the title? Do you think Arc Raiders should be worried? At all. I had to y'all up immediately, but I'll be talking about Marathon shortly and my thoughts about it. But what did you guys think about the game, right? Should Embark Studios be doing the little Kim? Should they be shaking out here? Well, we'll see very soon, and I'll let you folks know my thoughts. But with that said, as you can see here, guys, still content creators and community members alike are still debating the ongoing subject matter of PvP versus PvE for Arc Raiders overall. Is one or the other hindering the game in any type of way? That's also a question I propose to you guys. Me personally, you guys already know how I feel. I feel like the duality of both is needed in order for this game to thrive. Without it, Arc Raiders just seemingly isn't the same experience, okay? You can't have one without the other, in my honest opinion. And this is coming from a casual gamer out here. Okay? So with that said, guys, as promised, I'm going to compile the biggest subject matters from last month into this one video. And also, on top of the questions I asked here today, I need your folks' feedback. You already know what it is. I have the best community when it comes to Arc Raiders, and you guys show out every time. I think, what was it on my last Arc Raiders video? Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are breaking records. 500 fucking comments. 500, right? I say 4. I say 3, we go 4. I say 4, we go 5. You guys are just, you guys are truly a blessing to your boy. And without further ado, with timestamps, everything, all in this video here, you can watch every hot topic on Arc Raiders from last month in this one video. And then after this video here, we continue on with the latest drama and updates for the game. So, with that said, if you enjoy Arc Raiders as much as this black man does, make sure that you hit that like button on this video here. And if you care to stay up to date with all the latest shooter news and updates and conversations such as this, please consider subscribing today. This is always going to be at the forefront of the discussion. What is right and what is wrong for Arc Raiders? Is it PvP first or is it PvE first? Can Arc Raiders just remain the hybrid that it is, or do we really or indirectly have to go one way or another? All right, folks, so the content creator that we'll be reacting to today, his name is Floppy, and the title of his video is Arc Raiders dying? Let's see what he's talking about.
The game that we all love is dying. Or is it? Reading through the comment section of my most recent video, it suddenly hit me. People are getting bored of PvP players, they're getting bored of the game. But why? And what are Embark Studios planning on doing about this? Is the future content coming up enough to keep players in the game? And what would help keep these players, well, playing? Let me answer that for you.
Now, my man's talking about the death of Arc Raiders. I'm just going to chime in right here before we even see what he is saying. I don't know what he's about to say, guys. I did not watch this video, but the death of Arc Raiders. Isn't that amazing how this game could be this successful and we have death videos, right? Now, I have done this in the past about shooters and spoke of the death of games and things that are just headed downhill overall. If you're a YouTuber, guys, that's what we do here, okay? If you guys watch my content and you might wonder, like, Abel, why do you use the title death and different things for your videos and things like that? Guys, we're in the business of views. You understand? I wouldn't be able to meet you beautiful people without making dramatized titles. Okay, I'm gonna keep it all the way real. I have nothing to hide here on my channel. I like being transparent with you guys. You guys are my family here and friends. So with that said, we as YouTubers use dramatic titles such as this. Do I personally feel in my heart that Arc Raiders is on the way out in any way, shape, or form? Fuck no. That would be very disingenuous of me to say so and really lean into that way, because I love Arc Raiders and I think it's a phenomenal experience, and I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. Matter of fact, I think it's a phenomenon, if anything, right? We haven't seen anything like Arc Raiders since fucking Fortnite. Let's keep it all the way real. So we're hopping into this video and we're talking about the death of Arc Raiders. This is really going to contrast against what I personally believe.
Arc Raiders ended 2025 with a pretty incredible achievement. It reached 700,000 concurrent players within the game. Then again, on January 4th, another report came down saying that there was 3.2 million daily active players. That's mental. Current data actually shows a 50% decline in recent player activity. And that's concerning, right?
Is it?
Well, no. Why not though? Why isn't it concerning? Well, let's think of the maths involved. If you got 3.2 million players and then you take 50% of those players out, you're still left with 1.6 million players. And that's a hell of a lot of people to be playing a game still. So
Facts.
Where did these players go? Well, they got bored. They got bored of the game. They got bored of their playstyle, and they got bored of probably dying a lot to other players. They probably bought the game during the hype and realized the game wasn't for them, and that's okay. This game isn't for everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see the arc that we're leaning into. Guys, this is another, look, yet another, guys. Remember this. This is going to be an ongoing theme, ongoing discussion within the Arc Raiders community. That player versus player, that PvP aspect he's leaning into here. He's saying some people didn't expect the experience to be like XYZ, right? They didn't expect it to be so infuriating. And as my man said here, Floppy, he said, they're dying too much, right? And there's some people genuinely feeling that way about Arc Raiders, right? Which is kind of crazy to me, because you always have that element of a threat on the field from a player, right? Or yet alone the Arc, you know what I mean? But some gamers out there, guys, and I'm being very honest, and don't scratch your head on this, because this is just a very real statement. Some gamers don't like to die in their games. like in all seriousness, there are some particular gamers that if they take too many L's, they're fucking out. It just is what it is. And that honestly could be the case here with this player drop off and this retention rate drop off. Now, does this inherently hurt the product that is Arc Raiders? Does this hurt you and I? Fuck no, ladies and gentlemen. We're just getting started on this side, in my opinion. But he is acknowledging the decline in retention, right? So let's see where he takes it from here.
Embark Studios have outlined that they have a 10-year plan for Arc Raiders. However, they haven't really told us what the content is. All we really know is what we've already got. January, we were hit with a Headwinds update, which in my opinion was quite good. February, we're still getting updates at the moment. We've just had Shared Watch, which could have been better. It was focused at bringing more PvE lobbies to the game to help that player base out. March, we're getting a new map condition. We're getting new Arc threats again, player project, and a scrappy update as well. And then April, which is what I'm really looking forward to, we're getting a new map, we're getting a new large arc, which I believe is the Emperor, we're getting new map conditions, and we're getting that oh so lovely expedition window. Now the big question here is this future content going to be enough to keep people interested?
And that's a fair question to ask, because like as you look on that roadmap, guys, there was some aspects of it that I feel personally look kind of skimpy. Right. Now, mind you, you're getting a lot overall far as like quests and things to do within Arc Raiders in general, right? But as you look at the theme of that roadmap far as content, right? There are months that seem less content filled than others, right? And I'm not saying that it's not going to suffice. It could, because I feel as though the base game as we have it now, if you play it like a fucking normal person and don't know life the game, you have plenty to do in Arc Raiders, right? For team casual here, shout out to my casual gamers out there. We're casual folks here on this side. For my casual gamers, this is more than enough. You know what I mean? I'm just going to keep it all the way trill, right? But for the people that super grind and just go overboard with just every fucking thing in Arc Raiders, this may not be enough, right? And that's scary to say, but I'm very much content with the content in the game, but I can see this being an issue for those no-lifers out there.
Well, we've got some players calling out that they want PvP and PvE only lobbies, which, for me personally, doesn't work with this kind of game. This paperclip guy says it best. It's not one or the other, it's a PvPvE game, and people need to accept that.
Yeah, this is always going to be at the forefront of the discussion. What is right and what is wrong for Arc Raiders? Is it PvP first or is it PvE first? Can Arc Raiders just remain the hybrid that it is, or do we really or indirectly have to go one way or another? And to be honest with you folks, I don't know what the answer to that is. However, I will say the base that we have for the Arc Raiders experience has always been something that has satisfied and pleased overall. The numbers don't lie. You and I find something special in this game, right? We have found something special in this game, and it should be something that we highlight, note, and embrace instead of finding a division, right? There's always this subject matter of PvP and PvE, but nobody ever just embraces that. Fuck, Embark Studios does both just very well, and we could live in that balanced world. You know what I mean? But that's hard for a lot of gamers to accept for some reason. And I don't know why that is, but it's something that I feel like we need to embrace over time.
Splitting this game into two separate lobbies, PvE and PvP, will kill the game. This game is built on the foundation that when you go into a lobby, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what to expect, and that tense energy fills you from the moment you spawn in. Then we've got players saying there's no end game. What end game do you want? It's an extraction shooter. You can't have an end game in every game you play. Not every game needs an end game. This game is made for the experience, the joy, the social aspect, the tension in the fights, the cinematic moments.
Do you guys feel like Arc Raiders needs an end game? And that's a dead ass question, guys. Like, real shit. Seriously. Help me help you. Help me help you. Let's have this discussion. And I'm gonna start highlighting some of y'all comments and videos seriously coming up. Please, guys, sound off, because this is getting good here. Do we need a fucking end game for Arc Raiders? Do we need just that final closure piece? You know what I mean? And what does that fucking look like, guys? You know, has anybody really asked themselves, what does that look like, right? Where do you find closure in this experience and be like, that's satisfying to see. This makes me feel whole. This experience here now has concluded, right? Where do we get that from, and what does that look like?
Now, don't get me wrong, I do agree to some respect that Embark Studios does need to address this situation between the PvE and PvP players, but to say to split the lobbies is the right thing to do is just downright silly. It's not. It will kill the game. What could possibly work is a map event rotation, similar to the shared watch event that we had, but in this one, if you're a PvP player and you're going around killing these friendlies, you get a target on your back, so they know you can't be trusted. As for the end game, don't even get me started on that, because that's just ridiculous.
Fair.
No, we shouldn't be worried. There's nothing to worry about. A few players left because the game wasn't for them, and one player in the millions thinks that there needs to be an end game. It's just stupid. Don't even get me started. But to think that Arc Raiders is going to die just because people can't decide whether it's PvP or PvE is just completely bonkers. You'll find that the players that want to leave will leave, and the players that are left behind will be the players that make the core of this game happen. Embark Studios have poured their blood, sweat and tears into this game from day one, and they will continue to do so. They have this 10-year plan of content, and okay, we don't know what's going to be included in that content, but I am almost certain that it is going to be good. We, the community, decide what happens to this game, just as we decide what we do in our raids. We create moments of pure joy and pure happiness and full of wholesomeness. And we create moments of dread, pain and panic as we take out other raiders. We come together and we split up together in this game, and that is what makes this game so good. So for me, no, Arc Raiders will not die.
First of all, credit to Floppy for making a well-rounded, entertaining video. I love that. I love reacting to content such as this. This is my first time checking them out, but I loved it. Loved it. Now, with that said, does Arc Raiders die off? No. Do we lose player numbers? Fuck yeah. That just happens in any rotation of a game. I don't care how popular your game is, you're going to lose player retention over time. And some events will bring gamers back to check out what's going on in the world of Speranza and so on and so forth. And other updates would just leave people like, been there, done that. Okay. That's just the nature of the beast. That's how we operate as humans. Okay. Nothing's going on in the world until they release a Jordan in a new colorway, and then we're all back out again. You know what I mean? Now, Jordan's not doing too good right now. I mean, Jordans are kind of on the decline, which is kind of crazy, but you guys know what I'm talking about. New colorway drops, something sick, and everybody's back on it again. That's just how it goes. And currently with Arc Raiders, we're in that retention phase where some people might drop off. Does this mean that the game is dead? Fuck no, ladies and gentlemen. Again, Embark Studios is just getting started in the journey that you and I are embarking on far as Arc Raiders content, and the experience overall is just beginning. And to be very honest with you guys, I'm very happy with where we're at right now. And I look forward to the future that Arc Raiders brings forth. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a dilemma on our hands. And as always, I'm going to need your help to sort this out. Okay? This is going to be good. Now, roll with me. This just might be a Arc Raiders problem that can't be ignored. All right. Now, the Rooster that is on X, right? He's a big supporter of Arc Raiders, as many of you may or may not know. This is the tweet that he put out as of recent. Now, mind you, he is quote tweeting a marathon message, but at the top here, we get a interesting statement straight away. Trials in Arc Raiders are boring. This is what we should have had instead. And he points down below to what Marathon has going on. And folks, let's break it down. And shout out to my boy Kami here, having it all outlined for us, okay? Now, here are some of the outlines for Marathon's new ranked game mode, okay? Marathon is confirmed to be getting a ranked mode. First details. Ranked mode will work by tallying the total value of your inventory when you extract. Extracting with better item gives you more rank, ideally looted from other players. You must equip valuable enough gear to enter rank. Exceed the target value to gain rank from bronze to pinnacle and master. If you fail to extract, you lose your rank. If you successfully extract but fail to reach the target value, you neither lose nor gain rank. Rank rewards include exclusive cosmetics and more. The featured rank maps will change every week. To enter rank, you must purchase and equip a holo tag that you drop when you die. Looting other holo tags from a runner will give you extra points towards your target value. Holo tags come in different rarities, each counting as different value towards your target. Silver holo tags equal 5,000, diamond holo tags equal 15,000, etc. Some maps cannot be entered solo and must be played either with a pre-made team or via matchmaking. And all this information comes from multiplayer first. End quote. Ladies and gentlemen, interesting twist on their extraction shooter. For Marathon, that is, right? Now, mind you, folks, this game is not even out yet, but Marathon out of nowhere, folks, is gaining traction. All right, there are a lot of folks now that are turning the corner and kind of being turned on to play Marathon. And it seems as though Bungie's Marathon is honestly gaining favor with a lot of folks. So this is turning the tide of battle between Marathon and Arc Raiders and making for a interesting situation, wouldn't you say? Now, with that said, I must ask you folks, do you like what was just read to you, okay? Would you like a new twist to the expedition mode in Arc Raiders? Do you feel like everything's lackluster and, like Rooster said, downright boring? Okay, is there a problem on the gameplay loop front? Let me know, guys, down in the comment section below. And peeps, you already know we have a video to react to as well. And there is another content creator expressing a problem with Arc Raiders as well. I know this video here, we're really picking apart some things about Arc Raiders, but again, I feel as though these topics in discussions need to be had amongst the community, amongst folks that truly care about Arc Raiders or Marathon on the other hand, to honestly make both these games better for you and I. So without further ado, we're gonna hop into this reaction and see what this content creator is talking about. Today's content creator is Espresso, and the title of the video is Arc Raiders has an event problem. So folks, let's hop in this video and see what he's talking about.
Now, I personally have been enjoying Arc Raiders and still very much so do enjoy the game, but there's a few glaring issues with some items handled in game. Today is especially noticeable in the area that we're talking about that you may or may not have noticed as well. If you're a Trials hunter or you do them at all, you'll have noticed that today was the reset for this week's challenges. This week, we're tasked with delivering carryables, damaging ground-based Arc enemies, opening Arc probes, damaging Hornets, and finally, downloading information inside the bunker on Hidden Bunker, the spaceport major map condition that comes around every so often. All relatively standard things and all ones that we've seen before. Like, none of these are new, right? Well, yes, but there was one thing that may stand out to you that Hidden Bunker isn't as of recording this and wasn't earlier in the game. So how in the world are you supposed to do this trial? It wasn't on the rotation that we had today, and with an updated rotation still in the works as of recording this, what are you supposed to do? Well, I think that's a great starting point for a larger discussion on the current modifier rotations and how they've been and continue to be handled within Arc Raiders. So today we're taking a look at that. Drop your thoughts as we go along, drop a like if you guys enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe for more Arc Raiders and other FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community. So first thing, a little warning about this week's trials, at least today. One of them was of course not doable earlier in the day, and actually just for good measure, this video is a bit later in the evening because I got curious. Any and all of these trackers that have these sort of timers for countdowns to when an event expires or when the next one is upcoming, all of them had the same sort of, oh, there's nothing past 7 p.m. And surely I was like, okay, it's an API glitch or something like that. But then, well, the daily refresh happened and yeah, there's actually not any modifiers or map conditions in the game as of recording this, 7 p.m. Eastern, this little segment here. Now, I'm not sure how long that will last. Maybe this is intentional, gearing up for something else in the coming days here. Maybe it's a weird glitch with the refresh system, but the point still remained. With the introduction of the trial requiring players to take part in the Hidden Bunker event, it wasn't possible to advance that trial. A big picture, maybe not the biggest problem, because almost certainly we're going to see that added in the next 12 to 24 hours probably, and we see the next 5.5, 6 days total of the week on the trials that you can work towards that. But either way, still not exactly fair for all players if they missed that. But also, even when it's in the rotation, the problem's actually still kind of there. What I mean by this is the Hidden Bunker as a whole. As the time of recording this, it's previously been on rotation only 2 times a day when it's in that rotation, happening not on a perfect distribution or rotation, but a rotation of morning and late night when you'd see it. So while it will differ depending on where you live, the last time I had seen this when it was available last was 3 a.m. and 11 a.m. only. Now, for most people, like, you're either sleeping at that point or you're at work more than likely, unless it's the weekend and you got nothing to do here and it's on that rotation. So if you're someone that's grinding out trials and want to do them in any capacity, or perhaps you're like me and you just kind of start going on one and then you see one that's empty and it kind of bothers you, but whatever your reasoning, it is a severely limited map modifier that has a trial based explicitly on it.
Whoa, that is going to be a problem for a lot of folks there because, again, if you're king casual like me, myself, right, and you're on Spaceport and you're looking to get in that bunker, man, there's only a certain amount of time that you have to get in there, okay? So for a lot of gamers, that's going to be an issue. Now, if you know life the game and you just have all the time in the fucking world, this is not going to be a factor. But if you only have spare time and you only have certain windows of time to play Arc Raiders, this is going to be a major issue for a lot of folks. Now, I feel as though that Embark Studios will take note of this, especially for a content creator like Espresso bringing this to the attention of the community. I'm pretty sure somebody's watching this video and kind of like, hey, yo, what the heck? How did we miss that? And I'm pretty sure they have people knocking at the door, letting them know as well. But that is a huge oversight.
Thankfully, we've only seen this one trial that's become problematic, as the other condition-specific trial we had was in relation to the cold snap, which was on a steady rotation when that was around. But this, not the best look. And with the upcoming Toxic Swamp event that we've seen leaked now for quite some time, where that will be an additional map condition to the rotation, there is a trial that's associated with that as well. So we don't know the frequency at which that will be introduced, and in that rotation, whether it's something as frequent as the cold snap or as limited as Bird City, two very different ends of the spectrum on how it could go about. So it could be another one that in the future is problematic, which, speaking of, another prime example of this uneven distribution of map conditions that you'd think are important is Bird City, because this was the focal point of the new update for Arc Raiders and the Headwinds content, offering up a new way to loot on the rooftops of Buried City, bringing with it a handful of new ducks, and frankly, a very easy way to make an absolute killing in terms of coins, depending on what type of lobby you had, whether or not it's a PvE lobby, you get lucky with all those different chimneys that you can loot up and you get a ton of ducks, or maybe you kill somebody that has a ton of those ducks. Basically, it's just a way that you can exponentially increase your yield per raid based off of those ducks in the chimneys. So it's a nice sort of like trinket run modifier, which I get is why you might want to keep it not as abundant as a night raid, but like the problem with this condition is it was only available 3 times a day as a brand new map condition that was one of your main focal points of the update. It was on a rotation of every 8 hours, and previously that was 11 a.m., 7 p.m., and 3 a.m. Eastern, and elsewhere in the world comparatively, depending on your own time zone. So in that context, the brand new map condition, again, with higher tier loot, things that a lot of players are going to want to check out. The first time you'd see it during the day is when most people are at work. The second time is when you're maybe at home, but also you could be with your family, you could be eating dinner, taking yourself or the kids, or doing something for an event or activity. And the third time of the day would be more than likely when you're asleep, gearing up for the next day and the grind ahead again. So for the average person, how often are you going to get to play Bird City? How often are you going to be able to check out those new loot locations, the new loot that comes along with it? Hell, even for me, someone whose job it is to talk about games and cover them, I've only been able to play it like twice, maybe 3 times the way my schedule has been working out lately.
Again, folks, that is a huge issue. This timing, this pocket of timing, they got to have more variables on this because, again, people that play casually, and you even hear Espresso, he said that this is his full-time job to do gaming coverage. And I know what it is, right? And it's not easy to be playing these games like constantly, right? So we only have but a certain amount of time. And I'm sure that's the same for you folks watching this video here. We're working class people. We got shit to do. Whatever we're doing, we don't have time to be up on Arc Raiders all day. So with that said, it's very important that we get these times down, at least something that's fair for the community that could actually partake in these particular high loot drop areas such as Buried City, okay? Because again, I'm not so much of a duck hunter or anything like that right now, okay? I'll keep it very real, but listen, there's a lot of you that may be interested in this and want to go trinket hunting and get this shit done, you know? But you can on the accord of these scheduled events that just are not fitting your time. And that's terrible.
So when so many players cannot experience that brand new map condition and one of those focal points of the event, it's quite a bummer and probably an indicator that we might need to see some adjustment to how these systems work. Right?
For sure.
Unfortunately, that might be easier said than done, because when you take a look at how many different map conditions we have, there's actually a lot for only the 5 maps that we have on rotation. And without inundating players with a ton of different options for what you can play, 5 different maps, a couple of different map conditions in there, it's something that you don't want to break up that player base too much. Like, that's probably the perspective of where Embark is taking this. But
And he has a point there. You got to balance it out, but it has to be some finite balance that gets this done. It's going to be an interesting dilemma there. Let me know what you guys think about that. This is really going to be interesting. How do you balance out the pocket of time to host these like loot events and different things for people to participate in and have it be fair for everybody and everybody have a go at it? You know what I mean? Kind of hard to balance. Very hard.
at the same time, they seem kind of like mismatched, I feel like, in the importance of some of the higher frequency versus lower frequency ones. So I think the only way that you'd be able to do this is an entire rework of how the rollout system is either weighted or how it happens. Like, I would think your major and standard modifiers, they can stay relatively high and active, like a Night Raid, Harvester, Matriarch, those being your most frequent ones, maybe Electromagnetic Storm in there, kind of the bridge between middle and like high priority ones. But those Night Raids, Harvesters, Matriarchs, those are the ones you're always going to see most often. So maybe have one of those always on rotation here, but then you start to sprinkle in trial specific or limited time ones, buffing the sort of amount that you'll see them for things like Hidden Bunker, because this week in particular, it's pretty crucial to end up getting the opportunity to play that if you are a trial hunter. Otherwise,
that's actually smart. I like the way he's going about this. I like the way he's breaking it down.
You are at a severe disadvantage because you only have 4 of the 5 available to really grind out. So things like your Hidden Bunker, Bird City as a new focal point and that content offering, Locked Gate, again, maybe Electromagnetic Storm in there. You buff the amount that you see those where they're not happening just twice or 3 times a day. Maybe they happen 4 or 5, maybe 6, once every couple of hours, but not something that is over inundated. And then you can have your lesser important items like your Lush Blooms, Uncovered Caches, Prospecting Probes, Husk Graveyard, Launch Tower Loot for Spaceport. Those to me are all more minor map conditions that don't necessarily need to be in your face 24/7, but they're nice when you come around them. Whereas other things, the gameplay loop is kind of predicated on that in recent times. Again, things like trials or new content additions that are focal points. So I think that while on one side of the coin, it's a relatively easy fix just redistributing the sort of weight to these, it's also something that, again, is easier said than done because you are adjusting so many of these different map modifications all at one time. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how this all works out, but again, for the time being, I think these could definitely use a little bit of rework. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Maybe this is a hot take and I am just way out of my element and I'm not making any sense. Honestly, quite possible. But want to fill you guys in so that you know about this current trial situation this week, but also have a casual discussion here about maybe the future of how we see these map conditions take shape.
So folks, there you have it. Shout out to Espresso for breaking the trials situation in Arc Raiders down, because that's very clear to me. It's clear that we have pockets of time where we have an abundance of things to do, and then other times in other windows where we can't do what we want to do within Arc Raiders, right? So there needs to be a balance on the timetables as to when certain trials are triggered off. And again, great solution by him to actually break up the main trials that we have for the Night Raid, for Harvester, and the other one that we had in the middle as well. All that is pertinent to the Arc Raiders experience and needs to be balanced well, because if you don't, you're just going to have a sublet of people, like a subgroup, that don't get to participate in most of the things that you have out there for these trials, and that sucks. That just straight up sucks. But hopefully Embark Studios can balance this out. And talking about what I was showing earlier to you folks, do you feel like Arc Raiders ultimately needs to make a tweak to their game to stay relevant overall, with Marathon coming up on their heels? Soon we're going to be in some interesting times. Now, if gaming devs nowadays haven't noticed, the fight for attention is on in the worst way. You're going to have to do something that's pretty remarkable in your games to keep our attention. Now, you see Marathon, it seems as though they're going all out and really trying to do interesting things in their game to keep you and I engaged. Now, is it going to be enough to pull us off Arc Raiders? I don't know. That has yet to be seen, but they're making an argument for it. However, it seems as though people are liking what Marathon is cooking, okay? And again, going outside of Marathon, it seems that Embark Studios has their hands full here alone with trials. So Embark, this is all on you. What are we going to see? What changes are going to soon come? And are they going to be good ultimately? We'll find out soon. And he said that magical phrase right there. Guys, he said it felt like a job, a chore to play Arc Raiders. So, the title of this video here, I quit Arc Raiders and here's why. Now, just know, ladies and gentlemen, it's not your boy. Okay. Me and Arc Raiders is like this. You dig? Now, there is another content creator that has quit the game, and he says he has just cause as to why he done so. So we're going to dive in and see what that ultimately is about in just a moment. All right, peeps. So today's content creator is Aces, and the title of his video is Why I Quit Playing Arc Raiders. Folks, let's see what he's talking about.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's finally time that I come on here and explain to you why I stopped playing Arc Raiders indefinitely. I actually have not touched Arc Raiders since November. That is the last time I played Arc Raiders. I did get on one singular time to do my expedition, but I have not played a single time.
So guys, get ready for this, because we have to really analyze why he stopped and ask ourselves, is it a valid reason? So let's hop into this. Let's get into it.
And the main reason that I stopped playing Arc Raiders is because they decided to screw with the matchmaking. It has been months since I played, and right when I stopped playing is when they first started tinkering with the hidden matchmaking system, which now is extremely strict in Arc Raiders, to the point where if you just shoot somebody and kill somebody once, you are instantly thrown into PvP lobbies.
Whoa, wait. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, is that true? Like I need you guys, back me up here. Let me know the deets. Is that true? Does it really break you up and really categorize you if you shoot at a foe once, right? If you did even by accident, right? Even by accident, do they put you with other PvPers? Is it that strict? Is he dragging it? Or is this the real deal?
But if you decide to not PvP whatsoever, and let's say you play 5 or 10 raids and you don't shoot another player one singular time, you will be thrown into lobbies with the friendliest people, that it is essentially making the game a PvE game. This is an issue for me, mainly because if you are going to have matchmaking like that, you are not giving me an authentic Arc Raiders experience. If you want to cater to the PvE crowd, make a PvE mode. It is that simple. The new matchmaking ruined the game for me, because it got to a point where there was zero variability. There was no dudes coming around the corner saying don't shoot or VoIPing to me. It was all gunfights 24/7. And that was because I was level 75. I had done everything before the expedition. So the only thing left for me to do was to grind money and PvP. So I started noticing very quickly that when I did want to relax, when I did just want to chill and maybe do some looting and just, do a little bit of farming or do an event or something like that, that it was almost impossible for me to actually enjoy the game, for me to actually enjoy Arc Raiders. It kind of felt like I was playing Call of Duty with skill-based matchmaking.
Guys, that is a huge problem. If that is really the truth, that is pretty bad, because his point there actually is very, very valid. Very valid here, okay? If you can't shift gears from the Arc Raiders experience in the sense of like, hey, I don't want to be in a sweatfest fucking server where everybody's PvPing, right? Say you just want a chill night, right? And you just want to vibe out, and you can't do that. That's fucking horrendous that you can't. Now, I don't know how bad that is. I haven't really and particularly experienced that, right? And I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I haven't played in a little bit, but I'm going to have to really check this out this weekend and see what is really going on, because for the most part, your boy does some thugging out there. I'm on the PvP scene. You know what I mean? I'll keep it real, right? However, there are times that I just want to chill and have like a exploration type of thing going on. You know what I mean? I like that duality. That's just how I am. But if he's really struggling to find peace in this game, one way or the other, we really have a problem, guys.
Some of the ways that these guys were moving and just dodging left right, center, up, down, every other which way, shotgunning me, swapping weapons, and then one-tapping me. I mean, guys, it was getting a little insane. And that's on top of, I don't know if it is still in the game. You know, I'm recording this February 16th. I have not played Arc Raiders in over 3 months. I do not know if gear-based is still a thing, if there's still a gear score. But the fact that they had completely nerfed the security lockers into the ground, and then on top of that, you know, my skill tree was built around the security lockers. And then it's like anytime I brought in even blue gear, I was going against, you know, like every other raid, somebody had a Bobcat or something. And that's just not for me. When you start fucking with the matchmaking systems, that is when I get really turned off. Escape from Tarkov does it best with matchmaking. There is no fancy matchmaking. You load into raid with whoever is loading into that map and that time at the same time on the same server. It is as simple as that.
Now, guys, what do you feel? Do you feel like he's incorrect on that? Should it be that simple? Should it be that simple? You know? Now, for me personally, I feel as though if it's going to be an authentic experience that we want to dive into, being the Arc Raiders experience, right? You need that variation of like, you don't know what the fuck is going to happen versus like a chill time where it's like PvE, right? You need that authentic feel, and it seems as though that we're being robbed of that to some degree. Now, mind you, I don't know what the streets is saying. You guys are going to let me know. You guys have been great, and you guys like let me know like, hey, Abel, this is my experience. This is what's going on. This is what we have found, right? So I'm really dependent on y'all to like let me know on that front, but because we have like a bigger test pool, right, from this community here. But if that truly is the case, that's really heartbreaking, because I personally, if I go into Arc Raiders and I'm just facing FaZe all the time, FaZe Clan all the time, holy fuck, man, I'm not gonna have fun. I'm King Casual. I like to dabble in some crazy shit here and there, but I don't want to be sweating my ass off neither. You know what I mean? Now, if we don't have no balance and we haven't struck that balance yet here, that could really, again, be problematic.
There is no hidden skill. There is no this. There is no that. Games that do that, I'm not interested in. So it's really a shame, because I really did enjoy Arc Raiders. And I feel like I'm getting a case of deja vu, because any of you guys know me from the Aces EFT channel, the Tarkov channel. It did get to a point in 2021 and 2022 where I had made multiple videos before PvE was even announced for Tarkov, saying that, you know, I'm not going to play Tarkov anymore because of the cheating. That's the segue. Arc Raiders has had a massive cheating problem with actual cheaters and exploiters. There have been multiple duplication glitches. There have been multiple wall breaches. There was a hidden zip line in Stellamontis for how many months? There was so many different things that were being abused constantly by players who weren't using actual cheats, and then cheaters in themselves. And the cheating gets even worse in the PvP lobbies. So it's just like every little thing that bugged me about, you know, 2021, 2022 Tarkov felt like it was starting to come back. I was getting a really weird case of deja vu with some of the stuff that was happening to me in Arc Raiders, an extraction shooter. On top of that, I don't get any friendly players anymore, and it was just a very toxic feeling.
Man, honestly, I feel for Aces here, man. Like, honest to God, because if that genuinely is my man experience here, and I don't think he's lying about that. Folks, it doesn't even make sense to fucking lie about that. I don't think he's lying at all. If that's genuinely what's going on, and he feels as though like we have compounding issues far as cheaters, exploits in the game, and competition not being vetted in the sense of like fairness, you know what I mean? Like what, non-sweat lobby type of thing. That would make anybody leave. I'm gonna keep it real. That would make anybody leave. If anybody feels like they're being stressed out and they feel like all the walls are closing in on them, that would really suck. And I really love Arc Raiders. Like, seriously, guys, I'll keep talking Arc Raiders forever, because I think it's a hell of a game, honestly. And I'm glad that a lot of people on my channel and you watching this right now really enjoy it. That makes me happy. Honest to God, in my heart, I get happy that my people, my community, you folks that have grown to watch my videos and we bond together here on my channel really enjoy themselves. And the fact that this is a fair issue here. I can't even hate on what he's saying. I didn't know what I was going to get when I reacted to this video. I'd never seen it before. This is my first time. But I'm learning that, like, yo, he's just going through it. And maybe there's somebody watching this video that's like, yo, he nailed it. Like, that's how I feel right now. And hopefully this isn't the case, but if it's all lining up and compounding just like this, my God, not only does Marathon stand a fucking chance, oh baby, oh baby, we have a whole other problem that we need to discuss here, guys. Is the game's integrity really on trial here? Like, honest to God, is it really on trial? Has Embark Studios really been slipping this hard? This is a recent video, guys, I'm reacting to. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't seem as though Aces is confident enough to turn to the forefront and hop back in because he doesn't believe anything has been fixed. Sad stuff, man.
On top of that, I had played 130 hours of Arc Raiders in 2 weeks. On top of everything else I was feeling, I was simply burnt out. So, where do I stand with Arc Raiders now?
130 hours, boys. Ugh, ladies and gentlemen, oh God, he's out here with it. 130 hours? Go ahead, boy. Go ahead, boy.
I still haven't played the game, but I still enjoy the IP. I don't watch any content for the game, but I still like the game as a whole.
I respect that. I respect it.
So, in my opinion, right now, Arc Raiders is still very shallow. But I do think in a year or two, there's going to be a lot more content and a lot more things that are going to make Arc Raiders better. But as of right now, I have zero interest in actually playing the game, which is really unfortunate considering I've rebranded this entire channel for Arc Raiders. And don't get me wrong, we did make a fair bit of content on it. But as of right now, I don't like what they've done with the game. It's as simple as that. I don't like the direction the game went so quickly. You know, they were so focused on the casuals, and obviously that was the right call. Hundreds of thousands of players have, you know, dropped into Arc Raiders. Like, people love the game. They've been enjoying the game.
Listen, like I said, casuals keep the light on. Money, money, money on this side. Okay. You and I, folks, we keep the lights on. And he realizes that. Shout out to Aces for acknowledging that. Casuals keep the game running, right? But if you scare us off, oh, buddy, that's not good. That's not good. And it really sucks to hear, on top of what Aces is saying, he rebranded his whole channel. He tried to do a whole new look for Arc Raiders, man. You know how heartbreaking that must be? Like, to not find enjoyment out of playing the game and then trying to make content on it? My gosh. Like, thank God my passion just shines through for the love of discussion overall with games, right? I love discussing our shooters. Like, I love shooters and I really love Arc Raiders. So this just works because there's so many subjects to talk about and stuff. But imagine going down Ace's route and he can't get nothing to click right now. Nothing's gelling. That's very unfortunate. And I really feel for him. This really sucks.
But for me, they went the wrong way with it. You know, I'm what you would call a power player. I'm a gamer. And when I really love a game, I'm going to put some serious time into it. But when I feel like the game is just not a game anymore, it's feeling like a job, that's when I'm like, let me take a step back. And that's exactly what I did.
Yo, I say it all the time. If you feel like you're punching into work while you're playing a certain game, bro, you got to disengage, bro. You got to punch out. You got to punch out and say, hey, boss, I'm tired. I can't do this no more, right? And he said that magical phrase right there. Guys, he said it felt like a job, a chore to play Arc Raiders.
I stopped uploading content, full stop. I stopped playing the game, full stop, and I have not played it in quite a few months. So I felt I did owe my subscribers an explanation. I know that I'm going to lose a shitload of subs. It's going to get disliked into the ground, and I'm completely okay with that. I think at this point, Arc Raiders needs to just add a PvE mode. And when I say a PvE mode, I mean literally, like, let's just get a bunch of players queuing into a lobby and let's kill some fucking Arc. Turn the Arc way up, you know, put the quantity of Arc way up, see how many players you can throw on one server at one time and let everybody have a good time and vibe out. Just the way they went about things and this hidden skill-based or hidden matchmaking and the, you know, the aggression-based matchmaking. You know, hey, if something's different now, let me know in the comments. Because, you know, as of I last saw, that is the current matchmaking system, the aggression-based matchmaking, and it's not for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, he said it again. Yo, listen. I could just call it, bro. Like, guys, we've been in the trenches with this subject matter for so long. It comes back down to the core experience. Some people want a PvE experience and some people want PvP. My man is saying, please give us a PvE experience where we could just fuck up Arc and have a good time. A lot of you guys are calling for that, and it just seems to be such an ongoing thing. Will Embark bend the knee to that demand? Because right now it seems like there's a major outcry for change, and it seems as though a lot of gamers aren't liking what they're getting so far, which is really crazy.
You know, if somebody is gonna come on here and say that's not a good reason, well, fuck you. I don't care. I'm gonna live my life and do what I want. So
hey, listen, that's how I go. Listen, I know there's people out there that don't like Abel Green and shit. Listen, I'ma live my life and I'ma do me, boo. Okay. Listen, I'ma rock out with my people that love me like I love y'all, like I really love y'all. But listen, if you don't roll with me, kick rocks with no socks on. You dig? Okay, let's get back to this. Come on.
I don't owe anybody an explanation, but I felt that it was the right thing to do, as I do get comments pretty frequently asking what happened and where I've been. That's what happened. I just do not enjoy the direction Arc Raiders has gone with the game. And if they do add a standalone PvE mode, I'll probably try it out. If they do add a PvP mode, I might try it out.
I respect it. Either way, I respect it.
But as of right now, I'm just playing a PvP mode. I'm not playing the game I got to play in the first 2 weeks. I'm not playing the game I got to play in Tech Test 2. I'm not playing the game I got to play in the little open beta session they had for 3 days. It's not the same game. It's nothing close to it. So that's all I have to say about Arc Raiders at this point. And I'll continue to monitor things with Arc Raiders, and if I don't see anything that happens with it, I might just change the channel to something else again.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. You heard from Aces himself, his thoughts, everything laid out on the line, on the table there. Does he have valid concerns? In your honest opinion, guys, like, just keep it real, sound off in any which way you like. If you're pro what Aces is saying, let me know. If you're against it, let me know. This is interesting to me because I could actually see his frustration. If you really want to dive into a game and put in as much time as he has, 100+ hours, I'm nowhere near that, but this man really wants to return, but he just can't find his footing here. He does not like what's going on. The aggression-based matchmaking, the cheaters, and the lack of like dedicated game modes seems to be killing his vibe altogether, to the extent that he's just like, fuck it, I'll leave it alone. I can't say that's right. I can't say that's wrong. Yo, it's his prerogative. You feel me? But I'll say for myself, however, I gotta see what's going on in the sense of like, listen, is it really that bad? But I'm gonna see what my people say. Like y'all be out here. Y'all be in the trenches. Like, is this really that bad of an issue here? And can Embark resolve it? And to what degree? What would these folks need to do to get this shit together and get it right and make things better for the community overall? At this point, I don't know, because it seems as though that there are a lot of people split out there. Hopefully somehow Embark Studios can find a healthy balance to keep everybody in a playful type of manner. Again, you guys know how I am. I feel as though you can't please everybody. That's just life. You can't please everybody, because if you try to please everybody, you please nobody, right? Let's keep it very real. You have to be yourself. You have to do you. And in this case, with Arc Raiders and Embark Studios, it seems like they're running the game the way they want it. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's going to help the player base or help it decline. We'll have to see with time.
Another day, another Arc Raiders discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk PvE versus PvP again in Arc Raiders. I love this conversation because there's so many ways that we can look at it, okay? There is no right and wrong ever, but the subject just rings on throughout this game's community and fan base overall, and we're here to talk about it yet again. Today's content creator is Stone Mountain 64, and the title of his video is "The Arc Raiders Community is Fractured." All right, folks, let's see what he's talking about.
Don't get too triggered immediately here today, because we are talking about one of the most controversial topics surrounding Arc Raiders since the game was first even announced. But I'm sure you've seen comments on this. I'm sure you've heard people crying about it in lobbies. Most of you will probably know this by now, but Arc Raiders was actually originally meant to be a PvE game. It was only in 2023, after delaying its development, that Embark made the switch to PvP-VE. The aim of this, from Embark's POV, was to make the world feel more fun, intense, unpredictable. It was even aligned with other games of the extraction shooter genre that was becoming more known, like Escape from Tarkov, that many games are trying to take on. And of course, they want to succeed. But nevertheless, ever since that announcement, it's been a heated topic of debate in the community. In fact, in this Reddit thread from a year ago, before the game even launched, you can see a lot of players were even getting fed up at that time with how much it was being discussed. Now that the game has actually been out for a few months, it seems like it still is. Even the comments on my own videos, my friends. When the game first came out, I was mostly PvEing and defending myself, if anything. After about 200 hours playing, I really felt it was kind of like I had completed everything I wanted to do in PvE. I kind of completed the campaign, if you even want to call it that, but I wanted to get some more into the PvPing and the fights. And I've been getting a lot of comments that people are not happy with me. But of course, it's not everybody. People are just divided. There's still very much a large player base, though, that very much dislike the PvP aspect of the game. A lot of people even just left the game entirely because of the PvP that's in it.
That's interesting in itself there. Would you guys, right, say you're a quester and you done completed everything, would you stop playing Arc Raiders, right? Because you hate PvP that much? Like, would you just be like, my PvE tasks are done. Let me get out of here. That's actually interesting. I never heard nobody say that. Like, I'm done with the PvE portion of the game, right? They felt like they done it all. They reach mountaintop and they're like, yeah, that's it for me. I'm gonna stop. Like, are you one of those folks? Like, I don't know. Maybe I wonder if there's a gamer out there that converted to the dark side, in essence, like, hey, now I'm a PvPer, right? Now I'm hunting for them skulls now. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a thing out there yet in the community. I know I'm going to hear it in this video. I know you guys are going to let me know, but that would be an interesting perspective. Like, you done did everything within the game and you're moving on to the PvP pastures.
And there's a large amount of players as well, though, that are also just diehard PvP. Even since day one, that's all they cared about, and it's all they've been doing. And I wasn't even going to even mention it, but there's also a middle group that likes the suspense of not knowing when you're going to get betrayed. Not diehard to either direction, but feeling like that mix should be where it's at.
That's me, ladies and gentlemen. That's Abel Green. Okay. Listen, I invite both sides. I invited both. If it's gonna go down, it's just gonna go down. If it's not, it's not. You know what I mean? I don't force anything. I'm not just one side or the other, right? I'm here for the duality. You know what I mean? I'm not again expecting for my raid to just be all sunshines and rainbows and nobody coming after me. Shit, you got rats out there. It is what it is, baby. I welcome both playstyles.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, what I think drives all of this is the incentives, which we can talk more about another time. But some of the PvE players specifically really want PvP just out of the game completely, or an option to purely play PvE.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's some gamers out there that are like, hey, get it going. I'm not feeling PvP at all, right? It just should be non-existent within Arc Raiders. Crazy stuff to me, but yeah, there's some out there that are like that.
Where you can go kill the queen in peace. And honestly, I'd feel the same way if that's all I wanted to do, didn't have much time to play, and then also went in with the biggest kit just to get ambushed by a free kit who takes my entire loadout that I've been working on. And if that happened a couple times in a row, then it's time to uninstall. I've seen those comments. And some
I mean, is the answer though, guys? Like, check this out, and listen. Don't kill me here on this one. Is the answer go play Helldivers? Like, is it? Honestly, like, if you have a disdain for PvP that much, is the answer to go play another game? Like, you know what I mean? Is that a healthy answer? Is that a healthy response? Like, I don't know, because some people really get infuriated and frustrated with dealing with that third party element always in the back of their mind. Like, hey, I'm going to take on a matriarch or whatever here, and I might get third partied. I might just get my ass lit up. You know what I mean? As I'm trying to quest and do my thing on a solo tip here. You know what I mean? Along with some comrades or whatever you want to do. So, I mean, we do have other, I guess, great experiences out there that you could partake in that is PvP focused. Is the answer just to move on?
Some PvP players, on the other hand, then want the game to be entirely focused on that, pushing for updates and content changes that improve the elements with that focus, how spawns work, hit reg, anti-cheat being the top priorities, things that do matter to a degree to PvE, but a lot of those players would rather have things like more arc, more content, maps, bosses, since there is some replayability to PvE for sure, but being able to wipe your account, do it all over again is great. But things like trials have a very limited reward, and if you go for the pinnacle of trials, the reward from that, even I've seen the people who got it, who spent they made it their full-time, all their life to get these trials to be the top of the leaderboard, and it's like a skin that's not even that great.
Yeah, Arc Raiders crew, we got to do better on the skins, baby. We've got to do better.
And really, this is kind of a problem with success in general, but Arc Raiders has become so popular that we've now seen how far people are really willing to go to just compete. We have players that are accessing config files. There was a point where you could even open the game with dev tools and completely change the lighting, turn all of the shadows off in the game, zooming out your FOV so you could see around walls and corners pretty much, and finding ways as well to turn the settings down so low it's like you're running on a laptop from 2012, frame rates going insane, which for a while even further amplified the benefit that controllers got, because controller aim assist was based on frame rate, so that gave PC players a huge advantage. Anyways, it reminds me to a degree of the early Fortnite days when players used to use the stretch resolution until that was banned a year or two after. But I think the issue for most people, unlike Fortnite, Arc Raiders is very much meant to be a more casual gaming experience. I don't know if you even can make this game into like the esport direction that so many of these games all inevitably end up going down.
If Arc Raiders went esports, brother, that would be the worst fucking move that this game ever does. Ever. They have captured lightning in a bottle with the premise they have now. If this game ever went esports, it would be a fatal error. You see what casual folks do and things now. Like, you heard what Stone was saying. People try to exploit and find any way to like game the system here already, right? And this isn't competitive at all. You know what I mean? Now imagine you bring in sweats and competitive in here, like competitive play, and people are really grinding and trying to find exploits. My God, it would get ugly here. It would be something that is not fun, not positive for the community, and would be like a net negative in my opinion.
And I think the tension of PvP is kind of great, but they also don't really want the entire game to be consumed by it. either way, how the game is set up now, I don't see many people talking about the economic issue with it within the game for how loot is found, and we'll talk more about that. But first, Embark's kind of reaction to this, how they've handled it. The games came out back in October last year, so we've had about 3 months, which is crazy to even say, since the launch. And it took a little while for Embark to start talking about some of these things, but they have responded here and there to address some of the divide. At the start of January, Patrick Soderlund, the CEO of Embark, straight up said that this game isn't about shooting other players, and that Embark didn't want to really foster that type of gameplay. But at the same time, Embark makes it clear that it's an important part of the gameplay experience. In the same interview that we just talked about, Patrick even suggested adding private servers so that players who wanted to play the PvP element of the game can host servers where that could be even more acceptable of a focus. And
That's actually crazy. He even suggested that. What? Like that's actually weird. Huh. Private servers and arc raiders. I don't know how that would go over. I'm not too sure.
just recently, they released the Headwinds update, which Embark released the solos versus quads mode for players that are over level 40, which seems to cater a bit more to the PvP side for players that want to take on an even bigger challenge. When myself and a lot of my friends even first saw this, I thought it was going to be two different things, really. I thought the level 40 plus queue was what it was going to be, where only people over level 40 could go into a raid. To me, that makes way more sense. You could then have a minimum gear set value required for that queue, giving people a reason as well to actually bring in their higher tier gear. Side note, bigger problem I could probably do a whole video on, but right now there's not really a reason to bring that big stuff in. If you go in with a 120k loadout on Stella at night often, it's just a ton of people with free kits endlessly sending it at you if you are first spawn and you're burning up your resources for no reward, or to eventually get killed by another team, or you come in late, or there's no loot, or you're trying to find bodies, or maybe that one team who has everything. So solo and trios where you spawn in by yourself against everybody who's with a 3-man team, I mean, maybe occasionally could pull off something crazy. I think it would probably require a pretty bad team, in this case making a lot of mistakes for it to work out, but it gives you a chance as well to just run around and slurp up all the loot if you manage to wait long enough, wait for all the trios to dip out. Plus, you do get a 20% XP boost, which I think could entice some people if you're just running around looting things, staying away from people. You're trying to get up to level 75, especially for that push to get all your skill tree points put in. Going back to the incentive, though, for me, that would be going in pretty much naked, maybe free loadout, although I think it's better to go in with nothing. I'd run around, just loot as many things as I can to farm XP, but even at that pace, you're better off being in PvE lobbies just in solos.
Guys, how have you been enjoying that queue? Like, have you guys partaken in the solo versus squad stuff? Like, that's different. I don't know if that's something that I would personally partake in. That's not really my pace. I really like the vanilla game and what they have to offer right off rip. I don't know if I would do anything at level 40 to that nature, right? But have you guys experiment with it? Like, is it something that's dope? Is it something that resonates with the community to be a positive? Like, I haven't heard much people like harp on it or discuss it heavy, hence why you haven't seen me make any videos on it just yet or react to anything just yet, because nothing really popped off saying much about it. But how have you guys been feeling about that?
In fact, most of the solos in trios that I've ran into when I've been playing in trios and just talked to people in game, they didn't even mean to queue into it. It was a complete accident. Personally, I do think it's a good addition and it's a good option to have in the game. One of the things that has made this game better than a lot of the other extraction shooters that I played, though, is that if you're playing solo or duos or trios, you play with other solos, duos, and trios. And the fact that that's the default way to do it, I think is actually much better. There's a smaller niche that I'm sure does appreciate this mode, but it's kind of one of those things that should probably just be there, not really like a hype thing. Oh, there's a new mode people would come back for, versus what I would think is more exciting is like a high tier mode, minimum gear requirement to go in. And I touched on it briefly, but a lot of people have been asking then, so what do you prefer, PvP, balance of the both? And I do think that the PvE in this game genuinely is great. Most of my lobbies that I played for all of the initial hundreds of hours was friendly lobbies. But I did like that element of the PvP where every once in a while I got killed, especially early on in the game at those exfils, not knowing if you could trust somebody. The fun of being able to pop a little damage on somebody on the way out. Now that I have done all the PvE stuff that I want to do, killed the bosses, I've used all the weapons, I've made the guns, tried them against every single enemy type, snap hooked onto their back, blew them up with deadlines, trailblaze them from far away, snipe the Rocketeers from miles. To me, having PvP is what's keeping me interested in it personally.
Ooh, look at that. Stone actually has flipped the script and said he's actually liking the PvP element. It drew him in now, right? He done seen it all, did it all. Now he's a PvPer. Interesting. But the best part about this, though, is he's still finding joy in the game overall. That's the magic point here, people. He's still enjoying the experience. He isn't club hopping to something else or whatever. He's finding love in Arc Raiders. And that's magical today. It's rare to find a game that you really enjoy and just stick it out with and just keep playing. You know, there's always a new title popping up, something that you want to indulge in, and be it good or bad. But if somebody could really enjoy their experience and clock in hours upon hours upon hours in said game, man, that's a magical thing, be it single player or multiplayer.
Expedition, I thought was a great reset for the account. Focused me a bit on PvE again, but I'm also so much better and understand the game a lot more. I've been a fiend for the loot. I know all the loot spots, how to get everything. So I got back up to level 75 quite quickly and was still doing PvE. So I think it's just fun to have, especially with how good the voice chat is in this game. But I also genuinely think the PvP has been great, and that's kind of the end game for me. Even back in the day when I played Halo, played through the campaign, beat it on Legendary, then you got the proving grounds of PvP. That's kind of what it feels like here, but the weird thing is that it's all mixed in together. But what you might have noticed is that it's becoming a little less so, especially recently, with the aggression-based matchmaking, which we'll talk on in a second. But having dedicated PvP lobbies in a way where people expect the aggression, I think has actually been helpful for this. Sometimes, though, you do get people who are new to the PvP lobbies who don't realize that they're in them, and you know they did something to get themselves there, and then you take them out and they're freaking out. But then again, there's also their system for detection is not really that sophisticated, at least from what I can tell. Even defending yourself can put you in these PvP lobbies.
Yeah, I don't know how you break that up, to be fair, and place people properly in these places. That seems like a tall order. But nonetheless, though, I like what Stone said there. He is having fun going into these PvP matches, and knowingly so has served him well.
I think the bigger problem is you can get in very cheap and you really never have to care about anything. Once you realize that you can craft a level 2 looting bag and just how cheap they are, how friendly the lobbies can be, you can run around without even having a headset on, just looting. You don't have to worry about anything. If you die, you really don't lose much. Try and minimize your time in raid. Do a quick 5-10 minutes max in a raid. Fill your bag up, exfil. You can get everything done, especially if you figure out Stella Montis once you get that map unlocked. I've gotten to a point where now I just go in with nothing, respawn if I get a bad spawn or it's a late raid, and I mean, you can get exactly what you want so quickly, so easily, it's crazy. The system is so easily abused once you kind of know what's going on, especially because if you do go in with nothing, you always get a guaranteed free safe pocket. So even when I want to just do Mullen runs now, I'll spawn in Buried City, and if I get a bad spawn or a late raid, I just click surrender, go back in, and 30 seconds later, especially for how fast the queues are, eventually I get a good spawn, fill a pocket up with 15, surrender, go back in. Just takes a couple minutes and you can have 30 herbal bandages in no time and you're set for the day of PvP. But I think the bigger element of that is even when you're going in and respawning and surrendering, after you just spawn and surrender 8 or 10 times, you are then set in friendly lobbies where nobody's even going to fight each other because they're all doing the same thing, or they're just friendly players. I don't even go in and let other people kill me. If you just spawn and surrender, you're good. And because of that, once it's so friendly, you can go in and farm all the components, everything you would need to just craft all the weapons, of course, get all the blueprints as well, to where then I think economy-wise, it completely devalues having any of the higher tier items.
Interesting.
Especially on trials weeks in friendly lobbies, even in solos, try to kill the queen or the matriarch. That thing is dead within 3 minutes of the raid. And half the time you spawn in to a raid that, oh, this is only 2 minutes left in raid, that thing's already dead. You just got to run straight to an exfil, wait around, trying to exfil, go out, keep trying to get a fresh spawn into a raid, just because everybody's so friendly to kill this stuff so quickly. And then it's just a race for who can get the most loot the fastest.
That's actually interesting. Like, look at the problem he brought out. He said it gets a little too friendly in there, where it's like everybody has done everything on the map and you're kind of like, what do? I joined the party kind of late. Like, whoa, that's interesting. I've never been part of that show. I've never been part of that one. When I come in, it's usually like people are still in process of doing things and shit like that. But I guess if you get placed with a lot of friendly people, that's the way it is, because they're just looking out for the PvE aspect of the game, and that's what they indulge in, and they do it to the T. They kill it. They go in there and just clear everything out, and they're just like, hey, my plate's finished. You know?
But, okay, obviously, it's not enough to kill the game. The game is still doing great. I still love it. I'm still playing it every week. But I do think there is a lot of areas for improvement. And I think at the core of all of what I've been talking about is that aggression-based matchmaking system, which, if you haven't pieced together by now, it essentially monitors how you play the game and matches you with other players who play in a similar way. If you never fight, you hop into a raid, you just get loot and run away, you're going to be matched with other people that are like this. So it turns into just friendly lobbies. Nobody is going to shoot each other, even at exfil, and they know if they do shoot, then they're going to be put in hostile lobbies, and so they don't want to do that. Getting the loot off your body is not as good as just going back into another raid and getting a full bag in 5 minutes. Whereas if you're prone to fighting, you're knocking raiders out, you'll be matched with other people that are prone to PvP and also knocking people out in PvP lobbies. Overall, it's not really a bad system. I think in general, it's probably an improvement to the traditional skill-based matchmaking system in games like COD and Battlefield. Really, nearly every other game employs it now, but this is kind of more unique to the genre, obviously. And there actually is still a layer of SBMM on this. There was even mentioned by the devs, the highest priority is the aggression, the skill, after that, connection, and all other things.
But again, how do you balance that, right? All right. How do you really make sure things are on the up and fair? How do you really not cross the line of just having a bad experience for your title? But it seems as though it's working out for Embark Studio so far, because I haven't seen anybody go too crazy saying that the game has went too far left or right. But again, as you've seen on this channel, guys, we had plenty of conversations with content creators and myself about PvE versus PvP. I think it's forever dynamic, and it's going to be ever evolving. Okay. It's going to be a subject that's just going to be had every couple of months or every month within Arc Raiders, right? Because the game does evolve, and they're always improving and tweaking things in this title for you and I, far as the overall experience. So I think it's always going to be a ongoing conversation.
But there are some negatives to the system and the way that Embark, I think, has even deployed it. One of those is even the lack of transparency, especially initially, that even existed. Embark never really communicated to the player base until a month or two ago, really, as clips from the developer surfaced, where he basically confirmed that there was aggression-based matchmaking, although cryptically at first. And then as that clip started to get rounds around social media, Patrick Soderlund then even directly addressed it in an interview, confirming the existence and why it was deployed in the first place. But it meant when the game first came out, the players who were more friendly, without even knowing it, were able to kind of get even further ahead than the rest of the player base, because they were always in friendly lobbies. And essentially it was a looting simulator. And while we don't exactly know how it works, it's been a while of it out. There's been plenty of tests and, you know, so much experience now that I can at least say from my experience, I've seen defending myself throwing me into aggression. So the best thing that I've done is just let myself die, especially in the beginning of the wipe, which is also why I would never bring anything actually good in. And I am curious how your guys' experience has been with the matchmaking. Also curious, like, are you a massive player, casual player? But it also seems like way more people actually know what to do now as well. Even just talking with people in game, they know what's going on. They're talking about the friendly lobbies, PvP lobbies, etc. There was a lot of people even running up to me with nothing, just having me kill them.
That's kind of weird though. Like if you go into a lobby now that's not your taste or whatever, you just give up. Like you just like, all right, take me, I'm out of here. Like that's not fun. Ugh. You heard how he had to deal with that? I didn't like that at all.
It does seem like there's been a big loss of the balanced experience kind of in the middle of the extraction shooter. And I think the core of that is that there's not really an incentive to play this way. And I'm not sure what the best solution even is to it, especially with the culture and how divided the people are that play the game. This being even a part of the game, though, is honestly one of the reasons I think this game did so well at the beginning of it. And why you guys always hear me talking about the beginning of a game and the launch of a game being so important in the first place. It needs to be fun. That giant first wave of players and community getting into it is something special. And one of the things that they really nailed, especially being cross-input, cross-play, cross-platform, in this genre that hadn't been done in the level of polished state that it was. This was better than even the AAA developers ever did it. And it's one of the reasons the game, I think, is still so good, because a lot of people got to experience that. So many people did, and they stuck around for it. But I do think more people have realized the actual systems at play in the game. As more people have put time in, they've realized, and that will continue to creep. And I think just needs to be that countered with more updates. And maybe not everybody will even catch on in the first place. Overall, it is more of a casual game, right? Being able to get into friendly lobbies and just get your quests done or loot without having to deal with a lot of PvP is not only a preferred way for some people to play the game, but it's also helpful for people who don't have a lot of time to even play the game, to just fill their stash up quickly. You don't
I know how that is. Us casuals, we know how that is.
have to do hours and hours of grinding and losing, progress in a 30-minute raid to be killed off at the end, whatever. But you could just do a couple super fast runs and, fill your stash up to the brim. I kind of think an even better solution would just be having more storage in the first place. You don't have to be forced to sell so much stuff. At least having like a key container or an ammo container, an attachment container that's separate from your entire storage that, has the valuable spaces. But for sure, for the people who invest a lot of time into games and figure stuff out, the system is definitely ripe for abuse. Being able to play PvP and then when you're ready, swap over to the PvE lobbies. Sure, it ruins your stat, killing yourself a bunch of times, but I don't even look at mine. Maybe that is enough to deter some players, especially on the PvP side. And if it's that easy, would it just make sense to just put that toggle switch on for PvP versus PvE? Which to me sounds worse, because you don't get that good authentic experience that was,
right.
we had a lot of at the beginning, especially, I felt at least.
That would be a dangerous thing. If you imagine that you came into the game and you allowed gamers to choose right away, I'm going to go PvP or PvE. Like, that would just ruin the Arc Raiders experience. It would be one of the hugest flaws that the game ever seen, in my opinion. You have to keep this experience authentic and genuine as possible, because that's what made Arc Raiders Arc Raiders. You never know what you were going to get. Now, to take that element away and you just choose initially right up front, I think that's wrong altogether.
And I will say, even in the PvE lobbies, if I bring in a Jupiter or some other crazy gun, those friendly players start eyeing me up pretty good. But also, I could just not bring those in and keep looting. We kind of almost have this toggle in the game right now, but it's just with more work. And I feel like if there was some more endgame PvP stuff to do, maybe that could help. Likewise, even with PvE stuff that's tailored, maybe that's the big high end of it, which I got some ideas. But I wonder if you guys have seen the same thing, or maybe this is news to you in the first place. Let me know. Just know that when I kill many people, they say, why are you doing this? This is a PvE game. And then others are like, yo, good fight. That was actually crazy. Good move on that one. And likewise, sometimes people hit some crazy fair shots on me. I can't even believe. But for the devs who say, it isn't about PvP, it sure does have a lot of PvP elements. Even the fact that there's flares on Nox and there's fake flares in the game, the fact that free loadouts are just so easy and you could just go in and there's no risk taking every single PvP fight, being the rat, being the annoyer, and all those situations with no risk, as many spawns as you want. It's what I think could also help, though, in potential solutions. One is just more transparency about the aggression-based matchmaking system. I think even knowing where you rank in the system, maybe there's more complexity and difficulty with going in and out of your kind of rank as well. Maybe even a type of respect or good faith level meter. If you see your rating, you can better gauge, balance how to act in game to game.
I definitely agree that there needs to be more transparency on that front of like how you are matched up against other players in the game. Definitely, wholeheartedly. That shouldn't be a mystery. That should not be a mystery. There should be some guidelines or something that we could really have a North Star for like, oh, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm in. And this is what could happen during my experience overall. These changes that are kind of happening silently, I think should be put on the table. And the community should see what's changing about the game they love. That's my take.
You want to play friendly or hostile, you kind of have those either extremes still available, but players who wanted to be in the middle could specifically keep themselves there. I kind of feel this even works really good for the lore of the game as well. At the end of the day, the world's been taken over by alien robots. The rich people left, the poor people are still behind. You and the other raiders and Speranza as the hub are trying to survive. And if certain raiders were killing other people, they'd probably be most wanted, have a bounty on them. If we take a step back all the way to 2016 and we take a look at the Division, which some even consider to be the inspiration initially for all these extraction shooters in the Dark Zone, which was a PvE area within the map of this PvE game. It was driven by PvP action where rogue agents or other players would get a significant bounty level and they'd be marked on the map for other people to even hunt. If something like this was integrated into Ark, it would add a whole nother reason for players to be more specific about when they take certain fights and allow for passive players to be aware of other potential danger. I think it could probably make for some great moments. Imagine really the whole lobby rallying around trying to kill a bountied player. I feel like too, you throw one of these players that's like even a high bounty, high PvP player into one of the PvE lobbies, even tell the whole lobby like, yo, you guys got a killer in here. Maybe it's even something where the raiders have to figure out kind of like Among Us style who the hostile one is, or maybe it's just them all knowing who it is and needing to try to kill them. Could be interesting. Another game I think Embark could take some inspiration from even is Destiny. Destiny had a PvE only raid system, and it was one of the main reasons the game still has a thriving community today. I don't think Embark needs to even have a PvE or PvP toggle, but adding a way for PvE players to experience just that as an addition could be crazy. In fact, that's something that's rumored Marathon is going to be doing, although I believe that's going to be PvE VP the whole way through. Even, imagine you're trying to fight a raid boss and take him out, and then you got other players coming in. You got to clear the whole lobby first before you're safe to take on the boss or the challenge or the raid or whatever it is. Of course, those being the actual creators of Destiny. But even maybe it's a monthly or weekly event with something crazy where you need to load in with a bunch of players and complete it. People have been doing that to a degree, even against the Queen and solo lobbies, as I mentioned. But then there's also the question of the economy and how you balance that out. So the good news is they're not done with the game. In fact, every month we are getting updates, including new maps. I will say this first one for that level 40 tweak was a bit disappointing for what I at least expected. Maybe I had my expectations too high, and we'll see how some of the games that do come out this year compete. I will be covering them here if you want to stay tuned for it. But there's other small quality of life changes that they've already been making improvements on, some of the bug fixes and things. But even like free loadouts, they just currently encourage players to do so much PvP, griefing without risk, maybe even adding a daily limit or a limit where free loadouts cost something the more that you use them. Maybe if it's you're under level 20, you get unlimited free loadouts. I think there's a bunch of small things. I don't think any of those things are going to be like, whoa, people who already quit the game are going to be like, I got to come back and see that. But I also don't think a game necessarily has to be played forever for it to be a great game.
I feel him on this. There's going to be a lot of changes happening overall with Arc Raiders over a course of time. I don't know if it's going to be for the better or worse, right? For the experience overall for the game. I don't know. But I feel as though that it's going to be a evolving state where they play with the PvP and PvE aspect of Arc Raiders, right? It's going to change. And the biggest thing that's so cool about this, though, in all honesty, like the biggest takeaway that I see here is options in anything could be done. Right? The possibilities are just endless for this experience. You could really do something drastic that's really fun, or you could do something that's really bad, right? So the possibilities and the ideas that could be implemented within Arc Raiders is just tremendous. And it's all up to Embark for them to push it one way or another, right? And we're just here and along for the ride. Now, how dynamic this experience gets over time and how in depth we go with PvE or PvP, it's going to be up to the studio again. But again, those options that are on the table, that's just fucking tremendous, guys. And for me personally, I'm always going to be a hybrid. I'm just always going to stay in the hybrid pocket. It seems as though Stone is a hybrid too as well. Listen, man, we're out here winning. We're casual gaming and having a good time. Now, him not so much casual. He put in way more time than my black ass has done. But listen, man, I love it nonetheless. And I feel as though ultimately Arc Raiders is still going to be a banger of a title and still has a lot more to offer you and I. So folks, today I propose the question to you right out the gate. Is Arc Raiders too casual for hardcore gamers? Yeah, I said it. Yeah. Let me know what you think down below. Now, today we have a video to react to that is conversating about just that. And this is going to be very interesting. Now, I like to think of myself as a casual gamer. If you're watching this video and you're subscribed to my channel, you're not like super hardcore typically, right? We could get there with some games, right? But typically you're not really hardcore. You're typically in the latest experiences, most of the time shooters. If we do some adventure game here or there, something different every so often, a good single player title. But for the most, you're in the trenches with multiplayer and you're in and you're out. That's my crowd, right? Shooters first, multiplayer first, and just in and out type of games, right? Now, with all that said, in all respect, you could do that within Arc Raiders. Now, as many of you know, there's a lot of folks on this channel that either are for PvP or PvE, or there are that group like me that just loves both sides of the fence, okay? Now I find myself asking another question to you folks. Is it bad being casual in Arc Raiders? Do you have to go balls to the wall and go crazy in this game? Okay, I personally feel like you don't. You could take this game at your own pace, at your own tempo. We have new content that is surfacing in the game, and there's a lot to get into. And you could do it, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out. At your own pace, at your own leisure, on your own time. There is no rush playing Arc Raiders, okay? Now, contrary to what the world would have you feel, you can honestly do things at your own pace. All right, guys, so today's content creators are Around the Bar Clips. And the title of their video is Arc Raiders really only for casual players? Folks, let's hop in and see what they're talking about.
So were you like all in on extractions after Tarkov, or it was just the love of that game?
Yeah, after Tarkov, I was just like, I don't really find any interest after playing an extraction.
Yeah. It seems like Arc Raiders has really popped, taken over.
Yes.
It seems like.
Yep.
And you're having a lot of fun on it?
I've been playing it a lot, so I've loved it, yeah. I still love Tarkov.
Right, of course.
It's just two different loves, you know?
Yeah. You're just juggling games.
Yeah, Tarkov will always be my first love.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Besides Destiny.
Yes. Well, I mean, like in the extraction shooters,
right,
for
okay,
sure.
okay,
But
okay.
yeah, Destiny definitely all-time favorite game.
Okay. Yeah, I really like Arc. I like Arc Raiders. I think it's fun, but I don't think my heart's ever beaten out of my chest the way it does in Tarkov. Yeah.
It's definitely much more casual.
Yeah.
Which is okay, because there needed to be a more casual game.
Now, what they're saying there, folks, is factual right off rip. If you're a Tarkov player, first of all, God bless you. Oh, baby, God bless you. Just right off rip, pound it, because your boy couldn't play it. Like King Casual, Abel Green, I couldn't get jiggy with Tarkov, right? Nothing against Tarkov players. You do you, boo. You do you, boo. Okay, but definitely Tarkov has a definitely a more hardcore tone and nature to it overall, period, right? And that's cool. Arc Raiders is definitely, I would say, on the casual side, but I don't think that's a bad thing, right? I think it does welcome both hardcore folks and casual folks such as myself. Right. And I honestly believe in my heart that's one of the biggest selling points for Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders overall makes every gamer feel welcome from whatever walk of life they are coming from. And honestly, that's magical in my opinion.
I haven't played in a little bit, so I don't know what the meta is now. But it seemed like when Arc Raiders first came out, the solo experience was very collaborative and people are all hanging out together, taking down the robots. But then when you get into 3v3s.
Yes and no. So I mean, I think that it's still also in duos and trios, but I'm not sure. So in solos, you can actually become like friendly and you can actually get in a friendly lobby.
Right.
So if you're a PvP person, you'll normally match with just PvP players.
Oh.
And if you're a PvE person, normally you'll match with PvE people and that won't shoot you.
Guys, let me know, how has that been going? Seriously, have they really been putting PvPers with PvP people and PvE folks with PvE folks? Like, how has that been going? Honest to God, because I haven't hopped back in a little while, guys. And I don't know how things are going on that front. If somebody could elaborate in the comment section and hit me to the game on that. Have they come a long way in that area, right? Have they gotten the balance down on that front?
They like built it into the game.
Yeah,
like
there's an
matchmaking.
actual like skill-based matchmaking.
Oh, wow. So if you go
Yeah.
in there like guns hot, they like flag you.
They'll be like, "Oh, this is a PvP person. You're going to only get PvP lobbies
So
now."
what do your solo lobbies look like?
Very friendly.
Very-
But that's
Very
because
friendly.
I love to do community raids with
Okay.
chat, and we'll go kill like the matriarch or the queen.
Right. Okay.
You know, I
okay.
just like to help out the community to get them,
Yeah.
you know, money or something.
Yeah. Of
But now my
course.
duos and trios completely different.
Yeah, it's all hellfire over
Yeah.
there.
So it seems as though she's like me in a way. Like, you could have a friendly side and then you could have your thug side, right? We could throw the do-rag on every once in a while, right? And get the thugging. All right. It kind of seems as though this young lady partakes in both sides of the spectrum here. Overall, from what I'm gathering from the conversation here, I wouldn't say they're too hardcore into the experience. I don't know. Maybe the young lady is. I know my dude. He's more on our side, guys, in the sense of like he takes it more at a casual pace and is learning as he goes and finds out new things about Arc Raiders every day or every time he logs in, right? But the young lady on this side, she's out here with it, and it seems as though that she puts in a little more time in Arc Raiders overall, which there is nothing wrong about that, but it seems as though also she caters to two experiences. She delves in the PvP side of things and then also the PvE side of things via community.
I'll keep referencing the Peanut because we kept talking about Tarkov and that and I haven't had anyone else on that plays Tarkov. So.
Yeah.
But he was saying that he was on prior to Arc coming out and he was like, I don't know if they have the hook. I'm scared. He said that extraction shooters always he's always nervous about the new one because it's so hard to get that hook that keeps people coming back the way that people come back to Tarkov. Do you think Arc has it?
I think they do. I know a lot of people will say they don't have it, but they actually have like 10 years of content planned.
Who in their mother would say Arc Raiders doesn't have a hook yet? What? Hundreds of thousands of concurrent players like any given evening? We don't have a hook just yet? I don't know what this dates back to. I don't know what this video dates back to, right? Embark Studios definitely has something beyond a hook. They have something that's everlasting. They have a formula that gamers really enjoy, okay? So, yeah, that's not even debatable.
I do think that they do have it. I think that it will last as long as Tarkov? Sometimes I think not.
Okay.
But maybe still longer than most games.
So whenever you're on Arc Raiders, do you ever get the itch to play Tarkov and vice versa?
Yes.
So whenever you're on Tarkov, sometimes you get the itch to play Arc or no?
Yes.
Oh, you still do? Okay.
Yes. And
This girl's a thug, bruh.
when I'm
good.
playing Arc, I get the itch to play Tarkov. It's
Yeah,
like,
just
I
two
don't
totally
know.
different. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've played Tarkov so much, so I'm just like kind of only playing Arc Raiders right now.
course,
and
yeah,
trying to scratch that itch, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So I'm going to cut it there because they just went on to talk about several other games that had nothing to do with fucking Arc Raiders, unfortunately, right? Now, with that said, though, casual versus hardcore, can they both coexist healthily within Arc Raiders? Now, it seems as though the young lady here bounced back and forth between the Tarkov experience and Arc Raiders, right? But I think, honestly, in my opinion, that's a healthy thing, especially if you need a more hardcore fix. She looked for shit outside of Arc Raiders, right? On the other hand, though, you still could have that hardcore itch scratched here within Arc Raiders, because the young lady said that she put in mad time with Arc Raiders and is currently maining Arc Raiders right now, right? So it seems as though that the two parties, be it hardcore or casual, could coexist easily, right? And I think we're seeing it firsthand. Now, I haven't put a big magnifying glass under the shit and seeing like what's really going on, right? Is it more casual versus hardcore? But it would make you think, though. It would make you think, do we, us casual folks, outnumber the hardcore? Do we outnumber the hardcore? I think we might. I honest to God think we might. But overall, I say all this to say, casual gaming in Arc Raiders, right? Casual gamers that love casual experiences, yo, all the way for the win. I fucking fuck with us. You understand? And also, those hardcore players, listen, man, y'all do y'all thing and put in thousands of hours and get every blueprint and do your expeditions and your trials and all that shit. Do what you gotta do in these streets. But I think, honestly, Arc Raiders is not too casual for hardcore gamers. You gotta find your balance.